Gotta be true to yourself. In a world there's nothing else. Gotta play the game right, gotta make your path. You scratch, you dig, you lay in your ground. You bustin' your rounds, nobody gon' stop you. No ops, no cops, everything about you. Looking good, you good, she good. Y'all people really wanna know the reason. It's that ripple effect. That's just that ripple. That's just that ripple effect. What you do, come back triple.
Hey, what's going on? Sugar Kid out back in Ripple Effect. You know what it is. Hey, what's going on? Sugar Kid out back in Ripple Effect. You know what it is, and you already know the vibes. I'm doing this new thing. It's gonna be called For Real Fridays. What does that mean? It means keeping it real, keeping it a buck, keeping it 100, whatever you wanna, wherever you're from, whatever culture you know you wanna use. But For Real Friday, it just means like for real, like for real. You ever caught yourself saying that in the middle of a sentence, right? When I don't know, either someone's speaking or, you know, you just hear something, you hear some news and you just like, for real? Like, is that what we doing? So let me elaborate. So what made me come up with this is I'm hearing everything that's been going on in the whole trade world and the NBA, and we could sit down and really get into that at some other point. But right now, we're just going to keep it strictly what's going on with the Celtics and Jaylen Brown. Raise your hand if you're not surprised that Boston traded him. We can talk finals MVP. We can talk about how there's always been a debate. Is it Brown? Is it Tatum? Can they play well together? I don't even think, honestly, it had anything to do with that. They've already proven that they could play well together. You've seen how successful they were when they were together, and then ultimately they won a chip, something that we all have been saying that we wasn't sure if it could be done. They've proven that it can be done under the great leadership of Brad Stevens, making all these moves to make this possible, right? So we gotta I mean, there was a lot of things that had to go right in order for that to happen. Let's not act like, you know, it was just them. A lot of pieces need to be put in place. Coaching staff, everybody did a good job, right? It's a collective. It's an entire team effort. You know, they got Drew Holiday, right? I mean, in championship, like there was things in place. They got Al Horford back. There were things that needed to be done in order for them to be successful. But let's just get right to it. Jaylen Brown, over the course of however many years, maybe 5 or so, you know, ever since he's really been in his prime, essentially, you know, where he's really been making a name for himself in this NBA, right? Where he feels confident enough where he's at a place where you can be outspoken. Because let's be for real, when you still trying to earn your place on the team, earn your place in the league, especially if you're trying to be one of those players that where you know, top 10, top 15, top 20, you know, you're gonna keep your mouth shut, you know, until you can get where you need to be. Or just not necessarily just be quiet, it's just you're just not putting your energy into that because you know you need to put your energy into the game. That's where your focus needs to be, which he did. But over the years, like I said, maybe 5 years or so, don't quote me on that. You could look it up. I'll let you do your own little research. But I've been noticing the way he's been speaking out in the media. You know, he's been on Twitch. He's been on podcasts, he's been, you know, doing interviews and all over the place. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against him or any other player speaking out. Speak your piece. Yes, we want to hear your story. We want to hear, especially from you. If it has to do with you and we're getting it, I'd rather get it from the source. I'm tired of all these other outlets telling your story and we don't know if it's true or not. And don't get me wrong, y'all could be lying too, but at least we're hearing it from you. It's your story to tell. That's pretty much what I'm saying. So I'm hearing how outspoken he's been about Boston, right? About how some of the fans are in Boston, how some of the people are in Boston. When you talk about things like segregation, right? When we talk about outside of basketball, outside of sports in general, because people like to think stuff like that is not affected in sports, and yeah, it definitely is. I've been to Boston plenty of times for personal reasons, and I've always had a great time there. However, I was aware of the culture there, and I was definitely aware more so of how segregated it was. And I thought it was very interesting because I've been a lot of places. I'm a little, well-traveled, I would say. If you've been following me and following my Instagram, and, I try to post whenever I can, I've been to a couple places, but I would say like Boston is definitely one of those places where you're kind of like, wow, like you kind of like, yeah, I mean, this is America, but at the same time, it's like, man, like you really, I don't know, it kind of makes you think like, wow, like this is, it just kind of feels like you just kind of went back in time. And I'm not talking about technology. I'm not talking about the intellect or not. I mean, because obviously Boston is, they're up there. But I just mean on a social level when it comes to diversity, when it comes to, it's like you would have thought like civil rights never really went through there. And I'm not trying to like go too crazy on them because I'm not trying to say, too much because I know where this can go. So I'm not even going to do that. I'm just saying a lot of the things that Jaylen Brown's been highlighting, I can see it. And one thing I will say for people who don't share the same culture or ethnicity as we do, one thing I will ask politely is don't try to deny our experience. You know what I mean? Because it's impossible for you to have the same experience as I do, being that we're just different, right? I don't expect everyone to have the same experiences in places that I do, you know what I mean, as they do. So it's like, just give that respect. If people are giving their honest take on what their experience is like, all you can do is listen and try to understand. That's really all you can do. But to sit there and try to say, oh, that's not like that, that's not, no, you honestly wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that. If you're not in their shoes and you're not living their day-to-day life, you're not in their skin, you don't know. And it might surprise you because you may think that, right? Because you're thinking, I'm not like that. I hang around them. That topic doesn't come up. And so it may not happen. But however, if somebody is telling you, hey, my experience was different, you might want to listen, maybe pay a little more attention. And then even if you don't want to believe in that, look at the statistics. If you look up the research of everything that Jaylen Brown's been highlighting, and this is an educated dude too. He's not just pulling these things out of thin air and saying, oh, this isn't fair, it's segregated, and this and that. And he's not just saying that because he's been to a couple places and that's what he's noticed. He's not only have experienced these things for himself, he's also put in the work, meaning he's been out in these communities and he's seen how segregated it is and how underprivileged a lot of communities are, especially minority communities, so, and he was simply highlighting that. And he also took it a step further in other interviews, and he would talk about how the fans are, how they would not necessarily treat him because obviously he's part of their organization, right? He's part of the winning team. So they're not gonna, necessarily talk about their own players, even though some of the fans have grown to kind of, I don't want to say dislike him, but kind of, kind of give him that side eye of like, I don't know if he really would us like that. But what I'm saying is he's noticed the way the fans are treating the other teams. And we're not just saying, Knicks fans, Indiana fans. No, like specifically black players. And there's been some arenas where there's been issues with that. And if you've been following the NBA very closely, Utah is one of them. So I don't want to just single out one, city in particular, the state of Utah. Like that's just happens to be the team, But we're specifically talking about this, so I don't want to just say that it's just Boston. That's not what this is about necessarily. I'm just specifically talking about the trade and what went down. And when I was like, had that, are you for real moment with Jaylen Brown. And like I said, I'm doing all this because I want to let you know that I'm on his side and I can see what he's referring to. And I get it. But once you do all that and you have a full understanding of how the business works, because he's not, we already spoke, he's not new to this, right? He's been in the game for years. He's put his head down. He's put in the work. He's become one of those figures. And you already know, once you start becoming one of those faces, of your team and representing things, and, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And that's cool that you want to represent your community and you want to be outspoken to the point where you can start to see change, right? And be a part of that change and be a part of that impact. That is cool, because I'm all for it. Trust. But here's the thing though, acting like there wasn't any consequences to that is crazy work. Because my thing is, if you didn't like it in Boston, right? Not saying that he didn't like it, because I don't want to ever try to act like I know how he feels and how he thinks, and I don't know him on a personal level at all. So we're not doing that. I'm just saying that's a pretty big thing to not like about a city that you represent. That's all I'm saying. That's pretty big. And you've been there for quite some time. If I'm not mistaken, what has it been, like 9 years, 10 years? It's been long enough to be experiencing things like that and to be perfectly okay with it, which is why you've been so outspoken. But when you got traded, honestly, when I heard you making all those comments, I thought you were low-key trying to get traded, kind of like doing the Giannis thing, like, I want to get traded, but I don't want to look like the bad guy. I don't want to make it look like I asked to be traded. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to do certain things that will ensure that I get traded. Like, that's kind of what I thought was happening. And then the minute you get traded, it's like you act like, oh, I just got packed up. Like, you talking to Ice Speed, he's on all these podcasts and these channels, like making it seem like they didn't appreciate you, which could be true. I mean, two things can be true at the same time, right? They probably didn't really appreciate you because, let's face it, Jaylen Brown, like, you're a smart dude. I mean, you was working with NASA, you were in a robotics program, like, you're extremely intelligent. Obviously, you're a phenomenal basketball player, but sounds like you're a better person, which is crazy to even say, right? Knowing how great you are on the basketball court. But the point is, I thought you got what you wanted. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't do all of that. I mean, you can, but to think that there's no consequences, and you've pretty much spelled out what's been going on in Boston and the owners, obviously. I mean, you also have to think of the environment, right? You said it's segregated. So once you realize, I mean, I saw that contract flash across the screen. I ain't pocket watching, but can't help but not see something like that, right? So meaning every time you climb higher, like, you're going into a different space. I'm pretty sure you've noticed you're moving with different people that have a different mindset, different thought process, probably different generation. You know what I mean? So it's like, they're not trying to hear any of that. All that stuff you just said, ain't trying to hear any of it. So being that you knew all that and knowing how Boston moves, and then saying all this stuff publicly, and you're one of the faces of that team, and then you're surprised that they were just like, yeah, dude gotta go. Dude gotta go. I don't even care if it's for Paul George, you know what I'm saying? At the tail end of his career, bad contract. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I like Paul George. This is no slight. I'm pretty sure people are gonna take it that way, but it's no slight. But it's just true. Like come on, you got Jaylen Brown in his prime, and you switching him up for. Now Jaylen's in Philly. Jaylen Brown's in Philly. For real? Why are you surprised? They wanted you out of there so bad that they wasn't even looking necessarily for the best deal. That wasn't the best deal. I will say, we honestly don't know until everything just plays out. So I don't want to act like I'm a mind reader. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't know what's inside anybody's heart, what's inside anybody's mind, or what happens in the future. And yeah, I didn't say like necessarily like I can't tell the future. It's just because I don't know what's in Paul George's heart. I don't know, because here's the thing that I know that a lot of people don't consider when they're thinking about who's going to win the next championship, who's going to make it to the playoffs, who's going to win. See, too much of the analytics gets involved. You know, it's kind of like what Josh Hart said. Well, he said his coach quoted this, but I heard it from Josh Hart. So I'm just going to tell you, it's from Josh Hart. Analytics is like that lamppost for a drunk guy. It's great when you just need something to lean on, right? But when it's time to get home, it's not going to get you home. And everybody knows you try and get home, like, right? It's not going to... I just thought that was the best thing when it comes to analytics, because some people get so crazy and so bogged down with the analytics, they completely forget about the game, the human element of the game. And understanding that a guy like Jaylen Brown has just been traded, he's pretty much letting you know he's pissed. He's pissed. Now, whether I told you, I'm kind of like, are you for real? Like, why would you be pissed about something that you know you low-key wanted? But you know he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. He's going to be playing differently. Paul George, he was just in Philly for just a little bit. He didn't really get a chance to really show what he really wanted to do. So I know he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. So I don't know what's in his heart. I don't know what he's able to do. I don't know what kind of regimen he's been doing to switch up whatever to try to hopefully, get himself healthier for a long season. When I mean a long season, I don't mean just 82 games. I mean into the postseason. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's going to take. So it's just going to be interesting to see how all this plays out. But I had to that's one of those are you for real moments. Like, come on. I just couldn't believe it. You can't sit up there and talk about an organization and their city and then I don't know, and just be like, oh, I just got packed up. Yeah, you got packed up. It's not a good look. Business-wise, it's not a good look. You don't think these people got to answer questions? When they have one of the faces of their franchise talking about their city and you got these people, and when I mean these people, I mean these people making like crazy money. I mean rich, beyond, some people call that buku money, whatever that means. It just means it's so... You think they want to have to answer those questions? You think they want to do that? No. They're not trying to answer those questions at all. Nope. They just know that that's bad for business. We need a guy that's going to love this city, stand for this city, and do whatever, and speak good about it, and represent us well. Whether we're doing well or not, that's irrelevant. This is about our bottom line. This is about business. And now it's strictly a business move from up top. We're not even talking about for basketball or for the Boston Celtics. No. Excuse me. Because what people tend to forget is these business... these they call them governors, right? These governors, they're the owners of the team. In case you did, I always gotta educate people out there in case, people are watching this for the first time and they're just trying to get into basketball. So I want everybody to fully understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, the governors, they own a lot. It's not the basketball. That's like them being part of a, like a country club resort. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to say it's not making them money, but trust me, that's not what's making them money. It's not. So when so they got this going on, and you got to remember they have employees. You want your employees to speak highly of you. If you work for Coca-Cola, you don't want to hear your employees bigging up Pepsi. Like, that's just what it is. That was just very simple, we ain't even got to overthink that. So Jaylen Brown's going to be all right at the end of the day. I just thought that was funny. I thought that was just one of those, bro, you for real? Like, you surprised? I'm not surprised. Happy you did it. All the speaking up, talking. I hope you continue to do so. But please just understand what it comes with, though. I mean, our people have a history of speaking up for what's right and trying to do the right thing. But we know that what that comes with, though. So that's what I'm trying to say. Don't think that I'm not with it. Just don't be surprised by what happens, because some of the things, and if you do your research and some of the things you see, you just be like, was you trying to get traded, or you? Because to me, I thought you were low-key trying to get traded, and I was actually okay with that. You know what I mean? I was okay with that. Anywho, another "are you for real" moment. Like, for real? Like, really? LeBron James, yeah, all right. He said he's gonna play another season, not in LA. Cool. I'm actually happy with that. Cool. Some people may have their feelings about it, but honestly, LeBron, I feel like LeBron did what he needed to do. Some people will argue yes, no. Doesn't matter. All I know is diehard Kobe Bryant fan, RIP, man. When that happened, pandemic happened, he got his team together in the bubble and won a ring. Y'all want to call it the bubble ring and think it didn't count and all this now? That's on you. That's neither here nor there. I'm not even getting into that with y'all. He did that, though. So, okay? But, so I will, you know what I mean? I give credit where credit's due. But what I will say, and that was funny that I heard today. Well, let me just give you some context before I even get into all of that. So LeBron, obviously, he said he would not be returning to the Lakers. The Lakers seem to have moved on. They have prioritized Austin Reeves, giving him that big contract. It is officially Luka's team, and you can see what they're doing over there. They're gearing up and going in a totally different direction from the LeBron era. Cool. LeBron decided he was going to take his time. This was not going to be a decision that he's going to make lightly. This definitely feels like the decision again. In case you didn't know, the decision was when he was with Cleveland for all those years, and then he decided to team up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh out of Miami. To get a chip. So that's what I mean by it's going to be another decision. And what I will say is, too, even though we all had our opinions, and whether you stand on it, whether you moved off of it, is irrelevant right now. I do want to point out how much money that it made for the Boys and Girls Club. That was like millions and millions of dollars. So that decision wasn't just something that was lightly done. It wasn't just like, I'm just gonna sit down in front of a camera and make this a whole egotistical moment. It could have been, but I'm not going to take away from the thought of including the kids in this, the next generation, and making sure that we're going to give back on top of it. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to take away from that. So I thought that was cool because we're all older and we have a different perspective and we see things a little bit differently. And now that I know more of the inner workings of things, you know, I can have an appreciation for something like that. Whether you do or not, I'm not asking you to. this is just for me, because I know I had my opinions and they've evolved over the last, I don't know, what was it, 15? I don't even know how long ago it was. It was a long time ago, over a decade ago. Point is, he's been in the league almost 24 years. I don't even know. It's been ridiculous how he's able to move like that. But God bless him though, because I know what 41 feels like, and it hurts. It hurts. It's self-inflicted, some of it, but at the same time, it's like 40 feels different than 20. That's just When it comes to your body, when it comes to your mind, oh, I'm good. I love where my mind is at. But I'm saying physically, it's different. Knees different, but anyway, we ain't gotta do all that. Yeah, he said he's taking his time with a decision, so that's cool. So it's like, I know some people are feeling like, oh, this is gonna be like an Aaron Rodgers situation, with him in the NFL, and every season now we gotta sit here and wait for the decision of where he goes, if he's gonna stay, if he's gonna retire, and this and that. But at least LeBron told us straight up, like, I'm gonna play another year. He told us that, right away, so we didn't have to really guess about whether he was gonna retire or not. So that was cool. So we're just trying to figure out where he's gonna go, and he said he's gonna take his time. So I think a lot of us are kind of okay with it. Some people might be a little, just depending, because everybody wants to know what the landscape is going to look like. I know some people are under the impression that somehow it's not going to make a difference. I don't know. When some people said that, I'm just like, bro, I don't know what you've been watching for the last 20 years, but if you think LeBron going on a team does not make a difference. Anyway, we ain't even going to get into that, because that sounds like a whole nother conversation, like basketball 101. But I just thought it was funny. This is that for real moment when LeBron seems to be aggravated because the NBA decided they're going to delay the schedules. This is how important LeBron's decision is. They're going to delay the schedule coming out. That means we don't know what teams are going to be playing on what days and when the season is going to start necessarily. Or maybe they already did that. No, I didn't. Nope. I didn't think I even got a notification for that. And I'm like on top of that. Like on top of that. Yeah, like we don't know what days the games are going to be played on. And LeBron seems to be very annoyed with that. And he actually called out the NBA for delaying the schedule. And it's like, are you for real, bro? Like, think about this for a minute. You've been in the league how long? You understand your value. And you said you're the GOAT. You said you're the GOAT. You said you were the chosen one way before you won any rings or none of that. Cool. You've done all this. Cleveland, this is for you. You did that. You came back 3-1. Bro, I've seen it. You did it. Like I said, ring in the bubble. Bro, I know, not 3, not 4, you didn't do all that, but you got your fair share of rings with Dwayne Wade. I got you, bro. You did that. No one's taking any of that away from you. I promise. Well, the people that matter. You can't please everybody. What are you gonna do? But bro, you're seriously getting mad at the NBA for making a business decision? They need to know where you're gonna go. That's literally gonna make or break a lot of nights where some people are gonna be watching it, some people may not. Where are you going? Are you going to Philly? Are you going to Golden State? That's gonna change the whole landscape. If you decide to go back west, you already see what's going on. The Hornets just lost at LaMelo. Even that was kind of like, are you for real? I thought y'all was over there building something, And now you got LaMelo over there with Ant-Man. Okay, so now the Timberwolves are gonna look different. Remember, a lot of these teams are not done just yet about how they're going to look. And it's going to be crazy when free agency hit. Like, it's going to be nuts. That's all I'm going to say. And obviously, this team right here got the whole league shook, trying to build super teams and trying to figure out what's what. And then even LeBron said at one point that if we didn't win the chip, we, meaning the Knicks, that he was going to end up joining us. And I'm just like, wow. Okay. So meaning this, he really don't, that just goes to show you, I really don't think he knows where he's going. Like, he really just doesn't know where he's going. He does not know. And that's okay, because I feel like you earn that right. Even though it's annoying and we got to sit here and play, and like every other day and you're looking at your phone and you're hearing all these updates that come through. Because if you like me, I have like every, reel. I have the Score, Yahoo, CBS Sports, ESPN. You Bleacher Report, you name it, I have it. So all those notifications, like, you kind of just filtering through, making sure it ain't no LeBron stuff. But what I did filter through, and I was able to see LeBron being mad at the NBA, I'm like, bro, you got to be for real. Don't be mad at the NBA because you have not made up your mind. You know your decision is tied to that. You should know that. You already know how important you are. You make a lot of people very aware of that, right? By the way you control the narrative, right? By the way you have your own podcast with Mind the Game. Love it, by the way. And even love Max Kellerman and Rich Paul's podcast. Can't even drop it in the comments if you can think of it, but can't think of it right now. I just watch it on Netflix every now and again because they got podcasts on Netflix now too, so you can catch them wherever. So yeah, I'm watching all these different things, and I'm like, bro, this is a business decision. Like, you should already know that it is important where you go. It is a money-making decision. They are not about to put certain teams on certain times and channels. Excuse me. You already know the NBA right now is in bed with Amazon, Netflix, all the major TV, networks with obviously ESPN and Disney, and those are the, family company there together. And it's like, you have to know that. You have to know that. You have to understand that. And more importantly, stop being mad at things that you created. Like, this is part of it. Like, you wanted to be that. You wanted to be the GOAT. You still are technically the face of the league. Some people would argue Brunson right now. I would say that. I heard Ant-Man just gave Brunson a big shout out, which is really cool. But somehow I kind of feel like when he does stuff like that, I feel like he's just kind of taking the pressure off himself, because he doesn't want that type of heat, especially in his personal life. So I feel like that's kind of why he did it, because he kind of was saying that about Wemby as well. So anytime you can kind of just, like, you know what I mean? Like, just delegate that face of the league role to someone else, he kind of takes advantage of that, which is cool. I ain't got an issue with it, but I just like Ant-Man, and I wish that he would be one of those guys that would be like, nah, I am the face of the league. Just the kind of, I like that competitiveness. That's just me. But yeah, you best believe Brunson's the face right now. I don't care what y'all say. We sent Wemby home. That's right. Pop 1, Nixon 5. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. It was just one of those moments where you just have to say, LeBron, are you for real right now? You know what you mean to the NBA. You know the NBA is still not ready for you to leave, even though you've been in this league 20 plus years. And you're about to go to a new team that could potentially help them win a championship. They not ready, bro. The NBA is literally telling you, we not ready for you to leave yet. And we're so glad that you're not leaving. And it gets to the point where we have to sit here and wait for your decision before we can make any moves with these teams. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people, LeBron, that are not happy about that. I can tell you that right now. There's a lot of networks that are probably very cranky about the fact that they have to hold on and try to figure out exactly what moves they're going to be making and what times channels are going to be coming on. Because remember, this is like when the NBA comes back on, all these TV shows and all these things come back on. There's a lot of things being pushed back once, because it's like, if this decision can be, and this is a pretty big decision, this is a whole season. So it's like, you're talking about a large, 6 months? You're talking about pushing that back, of making a decision of when certain days, when games are going to be played over one man's decision. We've already told you how much revenue was made when LeBron was in Cleveland. And then when he left, how many businesses suffered or even went out of business entirely because of one man. This is beyond basketball, bro. Even when we was talking about the Jaylen Brown situation, right? Sports goes beyond. It just goes beyond it, right? It just does. If anything, it just highlights the things that are going on in the world. Yes, it can be a getaway, of course, once you're just watching the game. But once you kind of step out of the game and you kind of get an idea of more of the inner workings and things that are going on, it's so much bigger than that. And you got to appreciate that. That's all I'm saying. But this has been For Real Friday. I appreciate y'all sticking with me. We're going to keep doing it. And you already know, I only ask y'all to do one thing. Just remember, losses equals life lessons. Peace.
Gotta be true to yourself. In a world there's nothing else. Gotta play the game right, gotta make your path. You scratch, you dig, you lay in your ground, you bustin' your rounds. Nobody gon' stop you. No ops, no cops, everything about you looking good, you good, she good. Y'all people really wanna know the reason? It's that ripple effect. That's just that ripple. That's just that ripple effect. What you do, come back triple.
Hey, what's going on? Shit, okay, I'm back in Ripple Effect. You know what it is.